Hello. It's Brennan. My back's really killing me. I gotta see a chiropractor. But stress, I suppose. Well, what I want to talk about is the unified architectural theory. Now, this is, and I'm sure you can tell I'm bug-eyed or something. So the unified architectural theory is about housing. It's about transportation, energy, quality of living standards, environment, inner environment and outer environment. So it's about basically, is a really fundamental thing is you'll see something that's on, that's being advertised on television. It's a unique product. It's maybe it's a toy, maybe it's an automobile, maybe just about anything. But what you have is all this um, desperation for unique stuff. And incidentally, it's mostly made in China, where nothing is really unique. It's conformity is the rule, and we say, conform. We can enslave them to make all this unique stuff. So basically, you have junk, because once that fashion is passed, it's no longer functional. It's junk, functional junk. Getting into the wordplay there is really I guess it's the mathematics of rationality, of saying, okay, what do we have? Why do we have it? And then, you do have your objects of art, symbols, you know, not mass-produced stuff. So if you want to produce something that is unique, that's okay. But the mass production, this needs to be unified so that we have. There's noise coming through the wall there. So we have components that are reusable, sort of eternally so, literally, so that you could have stuff that's as old as the Romans and say, that's exactly what I have. It's the same stuff, same function, and the same dimensions, so the same size, same measurement, and you simply have the slight variation, a little bit of trim there, a little bit of putty or whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to use to make thicker or thinner fit in that same dimension, the same function. So if you have like a window glass, this is really, this is one of the great inventions. And just 50 years ago, we got a tempered glass, and then you get heavy-duty glass, soundproof, bulletproof. Nothing's going to be bomb-proof. Nothing's going to be that great, but it could be replaceable. So I'm trying to people walking around back there. So this unified architecture theory is housing. So basically, you say you have a function of a building, and let's say your job is to design 1,000 units and in a certain area, right? And your payment is going to be one of those units, and it's going to be the least valuable one. Okay, so this is a really good conceptualization. You're going to have the most undesirable unit as your payment, and you're going to need that. It has to be a hypothetical, like you're going to have to live there for a while, and you're not just going to jet off to some other place. Or if you are, it's going to be the same situation when you get there, okay? And you want to be able to transport those components there for that same universally functional component and assembly, and know that even unskilled labor can assemble this stuff and have it just as functional. And so and this goes into the vehicle of the future. So it's the same thing. You have as few components as possible, but you have as many functions as possible. So this is typically fun, unless if whatever those other words I was saying, function. They're just going. This is uniqueness. You have remember these toys or something like that. Now all junk because we keep on changing our minds of what's cool, what's going to sell. So I've noticed that you have schools, colleges, universities who teach people how to make little plastic unique stuff. Like there was this one for loading soda cans or aluminum cans into your refrigerator, and you just push them around, and as long as it's full, they're always coming out the it's like utterly useless. And this is the karma of talking about this. Like, I'll be looking at the TV and I'll think, oh my God, God's, so you have to be, your cognitive dissonance. Whoa, you're always falling into the hole that you find. You say, there's a hole there, and it says, yeah, well, go on, go in. Okay, so it's funny, but it's funny for the wrong reasons. Okay, because so basically, if you have this universally functional component, then you might say, well, couldn't criminals and whoever, whatever, be overly functional? This you're talking about radio. If everyone was broadcasting a message, how would you know that they had any soul? Right? It wasn't just a joke to them. Yeah. So you'd have. So this is where the software comes. So the unified hardware. Unified. Oh, stupid. These headphones are really good, anyway. Now I can hear myself. Okay, so the unified architectural theory is the hardware. So it's saying, okay, let's have a minimal component that is mass-produced, a minimal number of components that are mass-produced that project dimensions of function, inner dimensions, so your environment is secure. And this is philosophical stuff, but it also is breaching into the actual physical from the metaphysical, the dream, right? The dream. So the unified social theory is the software. Say, okay, so what is wrong? Are people generally happy? Is there normalcy? So these are these frequencies, they're the beam, really, because you can't really, a lot of times people will freak out if you mention the word math. It's like, math! Lay down. The math, It's like torture, And a girlfriend like that. Actually, I still meet them all the time. They want to torture you with their math equations. That's beautiful. Because true passion is really the answer, not the question, right? So that's, you want the answer, and that's the unity. That's you have unified it, you have leveled the beam, and now you can say, general happiness is over there. We want to move it, and those, seeing it once is basically enough. Okay, so let's see here. I'm trying to focus. My back's hurting. I don't know. I have to do laundry or something. Yeah. So one of these equations that goes off into the ecological is the concept of forest. So I'm always talking about these vapor barriers. So this is this really fundamental thing. Salvaging all vapor barriers from garbage, household garbage, and construction garbage. There's all these vapor barriers, all these intact materials, finished materials that people want to burn them, and they could make the deserts bloom, which is like the ultimate dream, and do it in a way that is rather durable. So little units stacked on each other, like a scales of a fish. You pull one up, they don't all come up, um, but they keep the moist, you keep the whatever the healthy stuff inside, and the hostile exterior, like the ocean or pond water, whatever it is, outside. Um, and so those, but ultimately, if you look at photographs, early photographs, you see not many trees. So civilization was sort of designed as, we have conquered this wild forest that no one really cares about. People don't like to go out and gather mulch once they had fossil fuels, which is about, it came in before the camera really came in. And when the cameras were primitive, people were sticking to the main road because their transportation was also primitive. But you don't see a lot of trees in old pictures. So what you see is open views. So this was like a major value, was to have, well, you have sunlight. So that's really important. Basically, I envision this concept where every building has sunlight on it. You have your lands, you have your your decorative landscaping, shade trees going on there. Going on 11 minutes here. Okay, so but shade, yeah, shade in the summer. You need that. If you find a shady spot to park your vehicle, it's really nice. And people are like desperate for that sometimes in warm weather, unless if they have these high-tech vehicles, unique vehicles. And so it's all this it's the big picture, right, of all these minimal unified components, and then the society that is unified, and where the most valuable stuff, people say, oh, I was talking to this guy, we're talking religion, God, and stuff like that, and I'm explaining California, everyone, there's big churches out there, but most of these people didn't actually grow up there. They're just sort of trying out, and so I was talking about happiness as a net, and versus a gross happiness. You have a net, gross domestic happiness. And there's the cool words I love going into that sort of well, universality. Okay, but it's really, maybe it's just a plate. I don't know. It's like a clock. Like, I'm not sure if it's a sphere or if it's the waves, but this will all have to be well, whatever I say, right? Yeah. Okay, so he was saying, well, what's so big about happiness? And he had a very stern face, very, single eyebrow. Well, that's not that doesn't make you happy, but so this is like a Western concept of immaculate happiness type of thing, versus the Eastern. They're not so concerned about happiness, so much concerned about order and values. And so the West is sort of this imprintation of, whatever floats up on the shores type of thing, and it's like, ooh, it made me happy, it's like, so you want to value, to weigh that very accurately, and make sure that the value is really there, where it should be, right? And where it is functional and all this. And so basically, I guess I'm going off the unified architectural theory is this great escape from the philosophical, you know, theology, logic, society. So this is this other concept of well, it's the same universal concept, but on a plane. So you could say the angle of religion. It could be acute or it could be obtuse. So it could be like very this very narrow beam where you're seeing like where you're very focused in on what it is, or you're peripheral. Um, but basically, the words are theology, logic, logic of society. Um, so you're trying to, that's what religion is about, society. So the logic. A lot of people just say, well, it came from, it washed up on the shore. It came from heaven, and if that's, if your objective was to be happy or to be legal, so that these are these concepts, right? These obtuse and the obtuse. Are you is happiness really important, or is legality really important? These are important questions. They are general questions, and you can. I mean, some people, they have to choose happiness because they think the general goes out there and commands the artillery or something like that. The blog, the media, the radio, saying what is, and sometimes getting a little caught up in it, because you start thinking more. The Morse code. Is this is Egypt all right? This is a major question. Is Tijuana all right? Could it ever be? Uh, Manifest destiny, is that all right? And so you get this political sort of, the 360 of the obtuse and the acute, and there's supposed to only be 180 of what we can see, basically. I don't know, maybe you can see it. Peripheral vision goes beyond 180 degrees. I don't know. Eyeballs sticking out, right? So the unified architectural theory is this great escape, but it is the consumerism escape. So, like what Henry Ford, he unified the component. He had the put it on the line, on the assembly line, to make those vehicles come out like clockwork, and the people could buy them, and then people could have enough stuff to buy other stuff, enough money to buy other stuff, and so if you love your stuff, you might start thinking you love money, or you love oil, you love fuel, you love power. So these are the root of evil, is the love of whatever money buys. So again, you are trapped. You are. Um, so you have to have. You have to have a strong back. No, you have to have a strong heart and good mind, and yes, a strong back, and good karma and all that, I guess. And so that's really tricky, because manifest destiny is unified architectural theory is this great escape, but it is an inner environment, a bubble away, like a reverse bubble, like an implosion away from consumerism. So that I realize that people are looking for any sort of key word to sort of rationalize themselves, and so this is really tricky, because the time has not yet come. We're just trying to ensure people that, or whoever we are, I pray, really do, that that there's going to be a functionality within the functionality. So the software that is programming the hardware, the actual production of the hardware. So this is like, kind of what I'm saying, the bubble within, the negative bubble that has the rationality within it that is unifying in a peaceful way, and with geography's very unique situation. There's some places that are geographically accessible and the climate is nice, and others not so much. So this is really, it's really tricky in that sense, especially because, you think about slavery, it usually existed with aliens in a foreign land. Not necessarily the frontier, but a foreign land. So once you got to the frontier, then it was the things kind of got reversed. It was, basically geographic desperation. So if you don't have the means to cross the ocean, then once you are brought across the ocean, you're kind of stranded there. And the same thing for culture, which the culture didn't change when you cross an ocean, but rather when you cross the mountain, then it doesn't float. There is no hope there is no floating to hope for across the mountain. There, you are really, perhaps you see the light. This is, and again, hope. That's the slave hopes he'll be freed. Freed from whatever's there, whatever they're stuck to, whatever, people get stuck with addiction, or they, the world sort of needs our needs from, energy. So you basically have to like really just, sometimes that acute vision, that narrow focus on what is the one thing, but you have to like a lot. So I know this is a little tricky. A lot of times if you go back in time to when something was first invented, something modern, you'll find a design that was nearly perfect. So it's often the first draft has this nearly perfect stuff going on in it, and then people just add stuff on. So I do this myself when I'm writing. I'll write something that's probably pretty good, but it seems like it's missing something. Maybe it has sort of, maybe the missing links are good, so they're these sort of free falls where you get to where you get a moment of peace, and then you know what's coming because your mind is prepared for it by the concepts. But then you go back and look at it and say, oh, what if I put a stairway in there? And then the stairway just like clutters it up, and you barely even recognize it because you've done these major engineering works over something that originally had a very simple design that was really functional. So, let me check my time. Whoa, 23 minutes. I'm just about out of time. So, Arthur, is that you? Okay. Yeah, my lower back is killing me. I'm like the hunchback. I don't know. Okay, so that's it, and I'm gonna have to send this video and do some stuff, and I don't know. Thanks. Stop.